Hello, Craig Birch here for Tungsten Tales. As usual, start of the week, plenty to talk about in the darts world in our Around the Board weekly show. We're going to talk about the events of the past few days in both the BDO and the PDC. And snowed under is the term that we should really use. Goodness me, the weather has caused havoc with just about everything in the UK over the past few days, and darts has certainly been in no exception to that rule at all. It started on Thursday with the Premier League. The Premier League Thursday afternoon was cancelled because of the snow conditions up in Exeter. So the game, but there are a lot of questions from that as well. I don't think it's going to be rescheduled. The event in Exeter will not take place now. It will not be. When you think about it, how could you really? You know, it's that all the Thursdays are taken up with the Premier League up until the culmination of that tournament. So they're simply going to have to rearrange the games, but they're going to have to do so by March the 29th, Judgment Night in Belfast. They're going to have to get all of the games in there. And as we recall as well, when you lose players from the Premier League format as well, players often play twice a night then, so they're sort of used to it anyway. But these are the games that are going to have to be rescheduled as a result of the cancellation in Exeter on Thursday. Gary Anderson versus Rob Cross will still need to be played. Just think if they'd have got it on Thursday, that would have been twice over that weekend they would have played, because obviously they met at the latter stages of the UK Open as well. Darryl Gurney, Peter Wright still has to be played as well. That could be a vital game for Gurney if he's to survive in the Premier League as well. Menza Suljovic versus Michael van Gerwen. Again, a big game for Suljovic. Again, we won't be expected to win either. That must now be rescheduled at some point over proceedings. And Simon Whitlock versus Gerwin Price is another one that will have to be rescheduled as well. The Premier League now moves to Leeds on Thursday, the first direct arena in Leeds, and will resume. It's looking very good at the moment as well. A lot of the snow's cleared. We're having a little bit of rain at the moment, but certainly it doesn't look like the weather's going to play havoc this week as it did last week. The fixtures that we will see in Leeds on Thursday for the Premier League: Michael van Gerwen versus Simon Whitlock. That could be a very interesting clash. Whitlock will be looking to get back to the sort of form, that 100% record he possessed, that was taken from him by Michael Smith, as we recall, last time in the Premier League. He's going to be up against Michael van Gerwen as well. Gerwin Price versus Raymond van Barneveld. Price fighting for his Premier League life at the moment. He's got Barnett, who's blown hot and cold, as Barney tends to do over the course of the Premier, well, in general really, but that could be an interesting one as well. Peter Wright versus Menza Suljovic as well. Suljovic in need of points. Peter Wright has been a good player in this Premier League so far, so be interesting to see how that one gets on as well. Tough test for Darryl Gurney again. Gary Anderson, the new UK Open champion, awaits for Darryl in Leeds on Thursday. And this, it looks like this is going to be the last game of the night. This is a very, very interesting clash indeed. Rob Cross looking like he's back to something like his best. Yes, he didn't win the UK Open, but he was involved in the latter stages, and he's playing like his old self again. He's got Michael Smith, who's got the only 100% record in the Premier League so far. So we talked about Exeter on Thursday and the chaos that caused. That chaos continued into the UK Open finals at Butlins Minehead as well on the Friday. News came from Butlins Minehead on Friday that they would not be allowing fans into the venue for the televised event. Many of these fans had plans to stay there for 3 days. It was a 3-day tournament, one of these Butlins package deals that we all know so much about. People were turned away when they got to Minehead to be allowed into the arena for safety concerns. You ask yourself the question, by turning them away, back out into the cold, where was the safety in that? But whatever the poser may be, it was played behind closed doors. The first televised tournament for quite some time that we remember being played behind closed doors. Very strange, wasn't it? At times you had the suspension of disbelief that you were watching a television tournament being played behind closed doors, and at other times it shone like a beacon on a dark night, pardon the pun. But the UK Open, big stories did come from the UK Open as well. It was very, very cold in the arena. I've heard that from the people on TV and a lot of people who were there, but some handled it better than others. And Gary Anderson certainly handled it very well. His first major title since the 2016 World Match Play for Gary Anderson. Gary, as we talked about long and hard on this programme, has had a few health issues at the start of the year. He's battled through them and overcome them very, very well. And now to claim his first singles title since the 2016 World Match Play, as we mentioned as well. Beat Corey Cadby 11-7 in the final. What a story that Cadby's having as well. Cadby came through Q School in January. He's already one of the UK Open qualifiers to claim his first ranking title, and he pushed Gary Anderson close at stages as well to maybe look like it his first televised major. What a fantastic story that would have been for Corey Cadby if he'd managed to achieve that, but it was Gary Anderson who came out on top in the end, and I guess Gary will think it's about time as well. Very interesting going into finals day at the UK Open at Minehead Butlins as well. I mean, some of the players that were still involved, Robert Owen, the furthest he's ever been in a major competition, he was still a part of it going into the last day as well. David Pallett not in possession of a PDC Pro Tour card. He lost that some time ago now, but he managed to get to the semi-finals, losing 11-7 to Anderson. Owen went out 11-3 to Cadby. John Part as well. John Part's first quarter-final even for 4 years. He lost 10-3 to Robert Owen. And so certainly on the last day, there was a lot of new faces among the players still left in the competition, but the cream rises to the top, and Gary Anderson is going to be a dangerous player going forward into the Premier League Classic, which is talked about against Darrell Gurney in Leeds on Thursday on the back of some fantastic darts, playing very, very well, Gary Anderson, at the moment, and he's looking like the two-time world champion that we remember at the moment. The BDO, not quite so busy for the BDO. They had county weekend last weekend as well. They now have the Isle of Man Open and the Isle of Man Classic this weekend. Martin Phillips will look to defend his Isle of Man Open title, as he's still involved with the organisation, but Jamie Hughes, of course, has now left to join the PDC. He was also involved at the UK Open as well, and was the only player, and he was the recipient of the buy, as we recall. 9 players withdrew, as they simply couldn't get there in the weather conditions to Butlins Minehead. He was the last one out the hat for the third round and completely sat out the first day. So he was that gave him his little slice of history from the tournament to do that as well. But he obviously will not be defending his Isle of Man Classic title for the BDO this weekend, as he's now switched sides. Plenty more to talk about Premier League wise. We also have the Players Championship coming up as well. So we're going to have plenty to talk about again this time next week, and we'll have plenty to look forward to from there as well. I'm Craig Birch, we'll see you next time.